Hey everyone, happy Friday. Welcome. So good to have you here for Feminine Energy Fridays with me. I am so excited to share the topic today. We are going to be talking about why you are giving more than you are getting in love. If this is you, this is definitely the right place to be today because I don't think you're the only one. There are songs written about this. This is one of those things that has been going on for a really long time. So, welcome in, welcome in. I am so happy you are here. If you're here live with me today, be sure to say hi. Just drop a heart emoji, say hi. And if you are watching the replay, comment replay, and that way I can know that you're here and I can send you a message and say hello, give you a little feedback. I'm so happy you are here. So last week, or actually it wasn't here. I wasn't here last week. It was a crazy week. We had lots of visitors. So it was the week before. And we talked about the 3 secrets that make you that woman that the right man wants to commit to. And this week, we are talking about why you are giving more than you are getting in love and how to finally feel respected, chosen, and met in love. So, give me a moment because I want to go ahead and make sure that this is um, broadcasting on my page. So let me double check. Let's refresh. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Looks like Donna's here today. Fantastic. Thank you for being here. Just give me a moment. I'm going to share this to my Facebook group. So I have a Facebook group and it is called Feminine Energy Secrets to Attract Devoted Men. And if you are not part of this group yet, hang on, let me just focus. Let me tell you what we do in this group. This group is quite amazing. We talk a lot about obviously feminine energy. Here we go. Sharing. There we go. All right. So, in my Facebook group, Feminine Energy Secrets, we talk about the value of feminine energy and how to use it to ignite romance. We also talk about dating strategies that position you as the prize. And we also talk about exactly what to say and do to that causes a man to want to lay down his sword for you. So, when you have these things, it won't be long until you have the relationship you want. So, if that sounds like something that would benefit your life, I invite you into the group. Drop a Facebook group in the comments, and I will certainly contact you with an invite and we'll get you inside that group. I do offer a free gift to everyone in the group. It is a high value gift that I only offer to those women who actually join that group. So it's a great community, it's inspiring, it's uplifting. It is the place to be if you are ready to shift the paradigm in your love life and finally take control. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But before we go there, let me introduce myself real quick. I am Kristen McHarg. I am the soulmate attraction specialist. And over the last 5 years, I've helped women shift out of overgiving, overthinking, and I've helped them get off the emotional roller coaster that love can put us on so that she becomes the kind of woman who is chosen, cherished, and deeply met in love. A major transformation. We do this not by chasing love, convincing, working for love, but by becoming the woman who knows how to stand in her worth and from that place easily attracts the man of her dreams. the man that chooses, cherishes, and meets her in love. So, this week, I actually just recently on Wednesday sent out an email to my list about how we handle boundaries in real life. It resonated quite a bit with many people. And I'm not talking about the kind of boundaries that you plan for. I'm talking about the kind that show up in the moment when your heart is on the line. And the response I got from this email, I heard so many women saying, "Oh my God, this is so me. And I need to reread this again. This is so powerful. It's really making me think." And wow, I actually do a lot of these things that you mentioned, like shutting down, like making assumptions, like going into overdrive to protect my heart, right? These are the kind of boundaries that we put up when we aren't prepared for the things that come at us in life and we are reacting instead of responding. And these choices shut down the pathway to the love that is often available to us. We just cannot see it. So I also heard women saying, I actually do not know what to do in the moment that would be more constructive than destructive in my romantic life. Ah, I felt that so deeply in my heart. So, how would you like to stop overgiving in love? This is something that I hear. This is also related to boundaries, right? We would describe that as a fuzzy boundary where you're overgiving in love and would you like to stop that without losing yourself in the process? Also, let me ask you this. How would you like to express what you really feel without becoming guarded, cold, or closed off, or being called overly emotional or too much, feeling intimidated to share what you really feel because you know that you will be received negatively? How would you like to get to this place where you feel clear and confident in how you're feeling and know how to communicate in a way that actually opens the pathway to love? If that is you, definitely drop a heart emoji. I would love to know if I'm speaking to you or not. Let me make sure I have my comments open so that I can see you. Yeah, there we go. Oh gosh, yes, look at all those comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's so much more fun. I feel the love. I see Donna out there. I see Colin Doyle, Adam. Oh my gosh. And so all this love. Okay, wonderful. What a good feeling. How warm. This computer world can be a little cold sometimes when you don't get some feedback. So thank you so much. So while I'm here, and we're talking about these two extremes of boundaries where we either freeze up and lock out the world, or our boundaries are fuzzy and we tend to self abandon, self sacrifice, and overgive for love. Which one do you tend to lean toward? Do you give too much and abandon yourself, I can talk a little bit more about what that looks like, because often when we aren't even aware that we're doing it, we don't even know what that means, this self-abandoning. It's really looking outside of ourselves for validation, not trusting what we are feeling as true. And this is so powerful. This can change the course of your love life, your relationship with yourself, with others, and all for the best. So if you are one of those overgivers, just put that in the comments so I know where you are at. And then some of us are the opposite. When things happen, when things feel out of our control, we feel overwhelmed in love, we tend to throw the guards up and we become inaccessible. So if that's you, if you tend to shut down, pull back, remove yourself, you keep looking for the perfect person, you keep moving from relationship to relationship, drop guard in the comments, right? And the truth is, neither of those actually lead to the love you actually want. So the way we protect ourselves in love tend to sabotage the very thing that we hope for. So I'm going to be sharing with you today a simple, powerful formula that gives you the confidence to speak your truth in the moment that it matters, the freedom from the resentment you feel because you will no longer be holding it in, and the clarity to see whether or not a man can meet you in the relationship you're in, or the partner can meet you. More than the latter, yeah. So more of the overgiving, right? Or the shutting down. Yeah, but both. It's really like, we would call that just that disorganized attachment. It's sort of like, sometimes we shut down to protect ourselves, sometimes we overgive, but you can just feel how you're moving off your center in both situations. So today we are going to come back to our center and find our true feminine power. So if you've ever walked away from a conversation thinking, I should have said something, drop a yes in the comments if that is you. And here's why all of this matters so much. It's when we start to speak our truth, hang on. When we start to speak our truth in real time, you actually become a clear signal for the kind of man who can actually meet you. Yes, Adam, nice. It's so nice to have you here. So when we become a clear signal for the man who can meet you or the partner who can meet you, this means that we stop overgiving, we stop over-investing, and we stop wasting years of our lives in relationships that weren't really aligned. So when I speak of all this, maybe you can get the sense of this inner protector, this inner guardian, and yet also not so fierce that we become impenetrable. So like I was speaking with Donna actually recently about this sphere of boundary that is semi-permeable. That means we are open to receive, and yet we are holding ourselves in at the same time, so we're not completely shut off. So if that's the kind of woman you are ready to become, or man, I know I have men out there too that are watching. If you want to be this kind of partner, type ready in the comments, because that is exactly what we're talking about today. So today's conversation is for you. If you say yes when you mean no, it is for you if you keep the peace, even if it costs you. If you are the kind of person who replays conversations later, wishing you'd either said more or less or something else, or you attract men who become distant when you open up, or you give and give and give and still feel unmet. Because here's what most women don't realize is that you're not giving too much because you're too loving. You're actually giving too much because you don't feel safe to be fully expressed. Yeah, overthinking and replaying conversations. Yes, I understand that. Yeah. So if you think about that energy, it's like errant prana. So prana is our life force, and it's just kind of lost its home. It's lost its clarity. It's trying to solve problems that are illusional. They're not even real because it's all in our head. So let's get back to reality. And that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about today. This is actually such good stuff. So let's for a moment put ourselves in that place where you meet someone, you like them, things are feeling good, but then, for instance, he pulls back. He lets you down, he disappoints you, or he says something that just doesn't sit right. And in that moment, you have a choice. But what most women do not realize is that there is this choice, right? And instead, we easily, this happens to so many of us, we just go quiet. We sit, we stew, we overthink, we build in frustration and resentment, or we scramble to over-explain ourselves later. We often pretend things are just fine. And this is the moment where the romance or the relationship dynamic breaks down. Because resentment doesn't really come from what happened, it comes from what you didn't say, what you didn't express. So let's look at what this might look like in real life, because this isn't theoretical. This is happening every day. In fact, there's a woman, I'll call her Jenna. She meets a man she finally respects. She feels safe in his presence. She opens her heart to him. She feels very excited that he actually is it. And then one moment comes along where he falters, where he hesitates in a way that all of the sudden makes her question him. And suddenly, it's not just about that moment anymore, because it has hit something much deeper, and it sparks in her a hidden fear that she's been carrying for a very long time that tells her, maybe I cannot trust men at all. Maybe love really isn't safe. And in that moment, instead of staying grounded and open, she closes, right? Because she doesn't know how to express what she feels. So she literally goes cold, pulls back. She assumes the worst and shuts down because of it. She becomes impenetrable, punishes him for this moment of weakness. And this is called stonewalling. She becomes a stonewall, just completely unavailable. And this is an example of how we overcompensate to protect that hidden, most vulnerable part within. We go into this survival mode and we lose all presence, all ability to interact within reason. So we have to be prepared. So have you ever felt that? Because the feeling underneath just felt so overwhelming that she couldn't stay open. So this is an example of when something that potentially wasn't even about you suddenly feels really big in your body, and it causes you to just shut down. So type I feel that, if you know what I mean. Have you ever had an experience like that? Now, on the other side, there is this other woman. Let's call her Susan. So she's actually not shutting down. She's staying. She's trying. She's coming up with every single way she can to communicate her discomfort with choices. Yeah. Thanks, Adam, for your feedback. Yes. So she's coming up with every way she can to communicate her discomfort, right? So this is like back to that boundaries. Why do we react or respond the way we do? Because something inside it doesn't sit right with us. And so she's not comfortable with what he's choosing. But if she's honest, she actually, by trying to like figure out all the ways she can coerce his decision or get him to change the way he is choosing, she's actually just walking on eggshells. She's avoiding the discomfort and trying to solve the problem of him. So she's thinking, how do I say this without pushing him away? How do I not be seen as the problem? Because she's afraid that she's going to be rejected. So she ignores her truth, just a little, and then a little more, until eventually she starts disappearing in the relationship. It's this feeling of losing yourself, of not feeling important, of really settling for a love that isn't meeting you the way your heart is asking it to. So if you feel that quiet feeling of I'm giving so much, why am I always so low on his list of priorities? If that's ever been you, type me if you have ever stayed quiet to keep the peace. Now, you're not alone in this. Here's what I want you to see. None of these women, neither of these women are wrong. Or men, right? No one's wrong. This isn't wrong. One of them is protecting her heart. The other one is sacrificing it. But both are disconnected from something so essential that allows us to own our sense of wholeness. And that is the ability to stay with ourselves in these moments, stay with the difficulty, the discomfort, really, and then be able to express the truth in that moment. And I will tell you this, every single time this part of ourselves that is wounded, that is hurt, that has a story that we can't trust men, that we can't trust life, this is the ego. This is our ego self, and the ego loves problems and loves to complicate things, and it loves to just, have you ever seen I think it's a Hopi symbol of the man in the maze, and it's like this labyrinth with a man at the middle, and this labyrinth, and it just doesn't look like there's any way out. When I see that symbol, I feel it so deeply because I know that so many of us are caught in the illusion that there is no way out, that there really is no love for us, that we can't trust love, that it's not safe, and we go swinging the pendulum from over giving to becoming so guarded love can't reach us. So the goal is not to shut down and keep yourself safe from pain or overgive to try to get the love you crave. The goal is to become the woman who can, or man, who can stay open and grounded, who can feel deeply and speak clearly, who can truly honor themselves without losing connection to what is true for them. And when you can do that, you don't lose love. You actually align with the kind of love that wants to meet you, choose you, and support you. Now, if you saw yourself in either Jenna or Susan, and you're tired of swinging between shutting down or overgiving, I want to help you find that middle ground where you feel safe in your body, clear in your voice, and steady in love. Which is why I'm coaching a few women next week over 5 days on exactly how to do this. So if that's calling to you, comment me and I will reach out to you personally. For now, be sure to grab a pen because you are going to want to write this down for sure. What I'm going to be sharing with you today is a clear path to stay true to yourself without making him wrong or the partner that you're interacting with wrong, whoever it is. And even when their choices don't feel good to you, so that you can stay open and grounded and not lose yourself in love. Or confirm, open and grounded, yes, yes. And Donna, yes. And when I look at the comments, I kind of lose my train of thought. That's funny. Maybe I should just wait and reflect back. So let's get down to it because this tool that I'm going to be sharing with you will show you how to show up in love immediately. This is going to show you how to show up the way you want to. Okay? I'm calling it the feminine clarity formula. For my male viewers out there, we can just skip that and just call it the clarity formula, because honestly, it will work for any of us. I think it's just good to know where we're at. The difference here is that a lot of times the male perspective is more in the logic and the feminine is in the emotional range. So I feel that this is very helpful for women to understand how to express themselves so that they don't come off as crazy makers, neurotic, nutso. I think this is a stigma that women have been dealing with for a long time, being called overly emotional and shut down because of it, right? Now, our emotions are pure power, pure Shakti power. Shakti is divine feminine power that animates life, that creates life, that is pure energy, energy in motion. So, turning towards our feelings, turning towards our emotions is our power. And it's very clear to have a language for that and to know ourselves in that. So, this is about helping you define where you end and where he begins, or where the other person begins, okay? Because boundaries are not meant to keep others out. They're actually meant to hold ourselves in, right? And then we can let them be semi-permeable, right? We're not closed off, or we're not spilling out. So if you can get that as a visual on a healthy boundary, that's a very good one. So the whole point is so that you stay rooted in yourself and see clearly if this person that you are interacting with is able to meet you. So the formula comes in 3 steps. First step is to honor. Second step is to reveal, and third step is to choose. I'll go into a little bit deeper what this means. So this is one way that you can stop giving more than you are getting in love. Let's break it down. Step 1 is to honor. This is where everything shifts, because instead of reacting, this gives you permission to honor what is real. And this is key, because this is when you stop trying to control him or control your partner by changing him, fixing him, rescuing him, accommodating him. This is what so many of us tend towards in these reactive moments where we feel that we have to, where we want love so desperately, or we feel like we have to protect ourselves from hurt. And this is kind of those tender places in love that are very vulnerable. So this kind of stops that unconscious behavior, reactive behavior, and it stops us from pushing him away by jumping into those patterns. And so it goes like this: to honor his stance. You acknowledge that he gets to choose what is right for him, always, right? So you have 2 autonomous people in a relationship, and each person really knows they get to choose what is best for them. And this is a really great way to, especially with the masculine, from a feminine standpoint, when we let him know that he has the freedom to choose, the right to choose, and we respect that by honoring it, that we are empowering the masculine. And giving a man his freedom and right to choose means that he will start to equate this sense of freedom with you. This is a powerful point. Take notes. This is crazy good. Because, mind you, this is all a man ever really wants, is a sense of freedom. Right? The freedom to choose you. The freedom to choose what he wants. This is empowering for a man. So honoring that, here's an example of how to do it. You use their name. Hey, I respect that you have the right to make this decision, whatever it is. What's the decision? What it does it is it that he wants to move in with his ex-wife into their or into that house, and it's making you crazy because you feel disrespected, you feel unseen, you feel all these things, sidelined. Maybe he wants to just come and go at will. Maybe he's that kind of guy that just, and you also in that moment feel you're feeling used, you're feeling disrespected, all those things. Maybe he wants to blatantly stare at other women when you're with him, and that just makes you feel small and embarrassed, like you're not enough, like you're inadequate. Right? So the truth of what you're feeling is real. And we don't have to bend or harden against that. We honor what he's choosing. Let him know we honor what he's choosing by saying, hey, I respect that you have the right and freedom to stare at other women. I respect that. And I'll tell you why we do this in step one, honoring his freedom to choose, is it does something really powerful right away. It regulates your nervous system because you're letting go. You're like, I don't have to carry this. I don't have to control what I can't control. I just honor it. So right away, you are regulating your nervous system. It ends the power struggle, and it keeps you in your feminine strength. So you're adapting to what is. There's so much power in that. You're saying, I surrender to what is. That is feminine strength. Surrendering does not mean submitting. Let's just make that clear. So here we've regulated the nervous system, we've honored what is, we've showed him respect, which is a basic need of the masculine. And now we go into step 2 of the feminine clarity formula, or clarity formula. This is where you come back to yourself. This is step 2, is to reveal. And I'll explain what I mean by this. We do not use step 2 to manipulate him. We're not trying to convince him to change his mind and see it your way. This is not about convincing, proving, power struggle type stuff. But this is about telling the truth, being authentic, being totally truthfully you in that moment. And that's not your personality, it's not how you dress, it's not your status, it's not your intelligence. That's all superficial stuff. But what is being truly authentic to you in that moment is what you're feeling. What's coming up for you. So here's how we do it. We tell the truth, we be authentic, we be totally truthfully you. Here's what it looks like. You say, I respect you for your choice, and at the same time, this doesn't feel good for me at all. Truthful, authentic, honest, very vulnerable. Truthfully, I feel very uncomfortable when you choose that. You're simply sharing your truth. By doing this, you are actually building self-trust, self-confidence. You're opening the pathway to intimacy, if he's capable, because intimacy is into me you see. You are now letting yourself be seen in full vulnerability. You're not trying to hide it. You're not putting on a mask and acting like everything's fine. You're not skimming over, You're being honest. So this is where, by doing these things, you're coming home to yourself. You're actually building integrity with yourself because you're not abandoning yourself. You're not ignoring what's real. Okay, so this is where we have to now move into step 3. So powerful. This is where, I hate to say it, but this is where most women actually collapse, or many of us collapse, if we have fuzzy boundaries, if we don't know how to hold ourselves in and up and ground in our truth. Think about it, right? That is, think of your center rising up in clarity, rooting down in certainty. It's not the kind of certainty that you need to control things you can't control. It's the kind of certainty that says, I know what I'm experiencing right now and it's not good for me. It's not working, right? So that's powerful. So now, this is not where you collapse in your boundaries. This is where you choose you. This is where you stop hoping and start deciding. Basically, choose you without shutting down, without self-abandoning, without self-sacrificing. And before I go on, I want to remind you that the more often you choose you and develop this self-trust, you also develop self-assurance, self-knowing, self-confidence, especially as you begin to learn to speak it. And what I wanted to remind you is that self-assurance is wildly magnetic. It's wildly attractive. So even though you may be saying something that someone doesn't want to hear, you are showing very clearly that you're choosing yourself. You're showing this self-love. You're showing that you are a high-value woman or man, that you're not going to settle for something that isn't good for you. It's like there's something very attractive about that because it's clear. It doesn't always like end things. It actually can open up to deeper relations. It's actually can earn more respect. Yeah, actually, he might choose you where he might not have before because he knows what's going on with you. He doesn't have to guess anymore. And then there isn't all that underlying resentment and hidden passive aggressive behavior that crushes a relationship in the long run. Do you see how potent and powerful this is? And really, it's simple. And that's the crazy thing about it. You can see how the ego causes a world of problems. All the illusion that love isn't real, that love isn't possible. Also, let's get clear about what this also does, right? Let me find my place. Okay, what step 3 looks like is this. Okay, this is where we stand for ourselves while we're honoring his choice and truth. We just say, will you consider changing your mind or your habits to acknowledge my feelings? Right? If he wants to move into his ex-wife's house, you can say, would you, this feels very uncomfortable to me. This actually I feel sad. I feel sidelined. I feel unimportant. I know that's my stuff and not yours. Although, if I keep going in this direction, I would be self-abandoning my own truth. So would you consider maybe another option as you now know how I'm feeling because of this choice? Like, that is a relationship. That's like when we open ourselves to love in the most grounded way, we let ourselves be seen in our vulnerability, and we say, I'm not making you wrong, and I'm not making me wrong. There's room for all of this to exist, and if we are going to move forward, let's do it with clarity and honesty and authenticity, and then maybe make some decisions that are good for both of us. That way we release the power struggle, we give permission for him to choose in a way that includes you. And if he chooses in a way that doesn't include you, well, there you have it. Right? This is, at this point, you stop over investing. You stop waiting for him to change. You start actually aligning with your standard. And this, my friends, is how you stop giving more than you are getting. But let me say something very clearly. If he chooses to minimize your feelings, disregard your request completely, and avoid clarity in any way, well, that's your answer. Not because you have done anything wrong, but because he's just unable to meet you there. So you have to ask yourself in this moment, If he's showing you that he cannot, will not, and does not change uh, or recalibrate with you in consideration, then you have to decide. Basically, you have two choices. Are his actions so offensive and offend you enough to just say, this is it, I need to reject you, this is it, I can't go any further? Or if you choose to accept him for this thing that he values more than your feelings, then this is your choice. You have to choose to completely let go and live in this choice without bitterness or resentment. Right? It's clear. It just makes it a lot easier, a lot simpler. Relationships can get complicated because it's all of this like entanglement, energetic and emotional entanglement. So we have to have these kind of formulas to just get simple, get clear, cut through all of them, the confusion that emotions can actually cause. Right? So we just have to get clear on what we're feeling. All right. So I should have written this down, but let's just say it this way. I'm going to review. Step 1, we honor, right? So this is where we get to say, he gets to choose what is right for him always. And we say it this way: hey, I respect that you have the right and the freedom to make this decision that's working for you. And at the same time, step 2, this is when we reveal, this doesn't feel good for me at all. Truthfully, I feel very uncomfortable when you choose this. Step 3, will you consider changing your mind or your habits to acknowledge my feelings? To work with me. Do you see how much confidence that comes forth, that speaks of, I know my worth, I know my value, I feel strong and clear in who I am and what is right for me and what is not right for me. That is very attractive. And if you have a relationship where that isn't considered, that's where you get to choose. Are you going to self-sacrifice to move forward? Is it worth it? What is the cost, right? What is the cost in the long run? Because the more you choose yourself in this way, the more you become a beacon for the very thing that you want most. The love that you crave, the respect, being chosen, being met. That's what starts to come your way. That's what you start to magnetize by making these clear choices. So I hope that you find that to be as exciting as I do. This is why I'm so excited to share this with you today. So let's just imagine 1 year from now, you are no longer overthinking every interaction. You're no longer wondering where you stand. You are not holding back your truth. Instead, you are calm in your body. You are clear in your communication. You are certain in your choices. And you say what you feel in the moment with total self-responsibility. You own it because there is no shame in what we feel. Feelings are transient. They are not permanent. They do not define us. They're just feelings. So when you do these things, you stop carrying this emotional residue for days. You aren't chasing clarity for relentlessly without clarity. Without that clarity, you just stop chasing it. You actually create it, my friends. And the men in your life or the people in your life, they either rise to meet you or reveal that they cannot. That doesn't mean anything about you. And that is something that we have to get clear on. We have to realize that sometimes we're just not in the right place at the right time with that person. It doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. It just means that our souls aren't necessarily aligned for the most auspicious outcome. There is someone out there that is aligned with you for the best outcome. You're meant to thrive. So, for the first time in your life, you're not confused. You are actually choosing. And that is what feminine power or inner power actually looks like. That is power. So, if you are listening to this and you are realizing, wow, I have been giving more than I'm getting, I want to support you. So, go ahead and Clarity Matrix. I love that. Yes. Thank you, Adam. That is so cool. Clarity Matrix. So, if you've been giving more than you're getting, I want to support you. Comment ready below, and I will personally reach out to you because next week I'm going to be working with 5 women. I have to consider this. I know I have men out there that are listening. I mostly, if that's you and you want to reach out to me, you just let me know. We'll talk. All right. I will reach out to you. I am Kristen McHarg. I'm the Soulmate Attraction Specialist. I am here to help you get into the arms of your beloved for a love that lasts. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll see you next week for Feminine Energy Fridays. Blessings.